Hollow to the nose. 1,000 sneeze subscribers. 1,000. Do you know what this means? Me neither. But this is dope. Huge milestone. Eating my sloppy Joe is against the law. Y'all have known this since 2013 on the gaming channel. If we're talking about the main channel, it's 2011. I'm considered a small YouTuber, right? 1,000 to me is huge. I really want to say from the bottom of my sneezer, thank you, truly thank you. So for y'all, I put together a compilation of my cheeks. But actually, I put a compilation together of like pretty much every time I've said hollow to the nose on this channel. I don't know if I got them all. I got as many as I could. So I want to put them together for you guys from the beginning up until today. So without further ado, hollow to the nose, hollow to the nose, hollow to the sloppy Joe nose, hollow to the nose, hollow to the nose, hollow to the nose. Shut up. Hollow to the sloppy Joe nose. Hollow to the what? Hollow to the nose. Hollow. Shut up, let me talk. Hollow to the nose. Hollow to the sloppy Joe. Hollow to the nose. Hollow to the nose. Eating my sloppy Joes against the law. Hollow to the nose. Eating my sloppy Joes against the law. Eating my sloppy Joe is my flamingo testicle. Eating my sloppy Joes against the law. Hollow to the nose. Eating my sloppy Joes against the law in the state of Minecraftia. Hollow to the. Get out of my way. Hollow to the. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joe. Hollow to the nose. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joes against the law in the state of GTA. If this is even a state, but no one knows. Hollow to the nose, eating my. Hollow to the nose. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joe is against blowing my nose. Eating my sloppy Joes against the law in the state of Utah, Canada, California, and Florida. Well, actually, not Florida. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joe is against blowing my own nose. Hollow to the nose. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joes against the law in the state of Canada, Utah, and Flamingo. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joes against the law. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joes against the law in the state of Utah, Canada, and Flamingo. To the nose, eating my sloppy Joes against the law in the state of Utah. Hollow to the nose. Hollow to the damn nose. Hollow to the nose. To the nose, eating my sloppy Joes against every law out there, because I made it official. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joe. Wait a minute. You do the intro.
Huh? Hollow to the gnomes, something about a sloppy Joe.
To the nose, eating my sloppy Joes against the law. Hollow to the slop. What the shit? Hollow to the nose. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joe is against. Shut up. Eating my nose is against my sloppy Joe. Ha, see what I did there? Mix it up. Shut the hell up. Eating my sloppy Joe is against every single law out there. To the nose, I'm here with Shello. Okay, we're gonna play some turf wars. Shut up, let's go. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joe is against the law. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joe is against every single law out there. There might be a law I might be passing down sooner or later saying no, basically you can eat my sloppy Joe and it won't be that much against the law. But that's one day, not today. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joe is against. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy sneeze on is against every other sneeze on. Let me just move this right quick. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joes against every single Joe law. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joes against. Hollow to the nose. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joes against. Hollow to the nose. Nose eating my sloppy Joes against the law. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joes against the law. State of Utah. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joes against the law. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joes against the law. Hollow to the nose. Let me turn on my light. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joes against the law. State of Utah. Hollow to the nose. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joe is against the law in the future. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joes against the law. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joes against the law. State of Utah. State of every planet out there. Every planet that has states. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joes against the law in the state of Utah. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joes against the law. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joes against the law. Hollow to the nose. Hollow to the sloppy Joe. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joe is against the law in the state of all the wilds out there. And all the wild states. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joes against the law. State of Utah. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joes against the law. Hollow to the nose. Oh, so hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joes against the law. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joes against the law in the state of Utah. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joe is against the law in the state of Utah.
Not the sloppy Joe.
Sloppy Joes will get you, son.
Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joe is against the law in the state of Utah and all surrounding states. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joe is against the law in the state of Argentina and Canada. If I see you eating my sloppy Joe in Argentina or Canada, just know it's against the law. Don't eat my sloppy Joe there, or else. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy Joe is against the law. If you're eating my sloppy Joe right now, put it down. Because you're breaking the law. The hollow to the nose. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy jaws against the law. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy jaws against the law. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy jaw is against the law. Hollow to the nose, eating my sloppy jaws against the law is in Utah. Thank you guys for 1,000 sneeze subscribers. I love you. I'm madly in love with you. Matter of fact, I've had a crush on you since like 2013. So let it be known. Thank you for 1,000 subscribers. And don't forget, eating my sloppy joe is against the law. Yeah.